Hello guys, my name is Melanie Harris and I'm going to talk about diabetes. I'm going to talk about type 1 and type 2 diabetes. Diabetes affects 422 million people worldwide and costs about $245 billion a year, including medications, doctor's visits, all the supplies you need for that. There are two types of diabetes. There's type 1, which is juvenile, which you get before the age of 3. And then there's also type 2 diabetes, which is adult onset. Type 1 diabetes, usually muscle unable to produce glucose due to low insulin, and then basically the increased glucose due to low incidence means it doesn't work. And so the pancreas is basically not producing glucose when you take in sugar. It's not breaking it down. Now in type 2, the difference between type 2, yes, the glucose doesn't work, but it's usually because of obesity or something wrong. It's insufficient. So it's not that you get it when you are born, which it does not work. It is usually when because of some other factors. Now, some of the symptoms of type 1 is excessive thirst, increased urination, usually weight loss, fatigue and tiredness, nausea, blurry vision, dry mouth, slow healing of cuts or sores, itching in the groin area. In type 2, it's usually excessive thirst, unusual weight gain or weight loss, fatigue or extreme tiredness, increased urination, especially at night. Usually type 2 diabetes occurs in people that are overweight, as opposed to type 1 diabetes, where people are usually born with it. Some of the risk factors for type 1 is family history, environmental, geography, dietary factors, presence of damaging immune system cells called autoantibodies. For type 2, like I said, it's usually for people who are overweight, family history, race, age, diabetes, high blood pressure, abnormal cholesterol, stuff like that. Diagnose. So usually a test is done to check your glucose levels because you got to test it like regularly. So a test is done with a prick of the finger, and usually it's done on a device that can read your number. This device measures your insulin, your carbohydrate intake, your blood glucose levels. It measures your A1C. It measures the percent of blood sugar that is attached to the hemoglobin. So there are three types of tests that you can do. There's random blood sugar test. Random blood sugar test is sugar levels that are tested at random. Usually means of 200 milligrams per deciliter or higher. That means you have blood sugar problems, you have diabetes. There's also a fasting blood sugar test. The fasting blood sugar test is do overnight testing. So usually like when you go to sleep and then maybe in the morning, it's usually tested. The oral glucose tolerance test is usually when you eat or drink something and you test that before you eat and after you eat, and then it's tested for like a 2-hour periodically after that. So prevention options. For type 1 diabetes, there's no prevention options because you usually get it at onset from hereditary, genetic factors, stuff like that, from family history. So there's no really prevention of it, but you can control diabetic shock. And diabetic shock is when your diabetes or your blood sugar levels become too low. So usually to solve this, you drink some orange juice or stuff like that. I remember, I'm going to tell you an example. My dad has diabetes. He does have type 1 juvenile diabetes. And with his diabetes, he was diagnosed with it. And one time I went to wake him up in the morning and he was confused. He was dazed, confused, and didn't know what was going on. So basically what happened is I had to give him something to up his sugar because he was having a diabetic shock. He was confused. He looked like he was going to pass out. It's very scary. So when somebody is in a diabetic shock, make sure you give them orange juice, something to drink, something sugary to raise those blood sugar levels. Now you also want to watch out for, when you're diabetic, not taking too much sugar in because that can also cause a problem because you don't need to keep pumping insulin into you, you can monitor them by eating healthy, which also leads into diabetes type 2, which is eating healthy. Things that you can eat healthy with is like leafy greens, lean protein, fill up on fibers, 8 ounces of water, cut back on salty foods, sugars, and carbohydrate intake. You can also exercise regularly because, like I said, type 2 diabetes usually forms with people who are overweight. Traditional treatment options for type 1 usually multiple injections, either from a shot or some form of insulin pump. Some insulin pumps you wear all the time, and if you need to get in the water, you can go about 2 hours without them. Type 2 diabetes are usually more medication type. Insulin injections are only common about 40%, not all of them. And over here you can see the different forms of injections you can do and the insulin pump and stuff like that. So for the alternative treatment options, you can, for type 1, you could do like your diet, you could help with your diet or physical activity. For type 2, more of a stricter diet, stricter exercise program. You could take supplement herbs such as aloe vera, cinnamon, garlic. You can eat potatoes, broccoli, spinach, relaxation. And over here on this picture, I thought it was really, really cool because it's called Track. This could help you track your diabetes. So basically, take your medication, is the T, for R, reach and maintain a healthy diet. A is add more physical activity to your daily routine. C is control your A1C, blood pressure, and cholesterol levels. And K is kick the smoking habit. Smoking actually can cause diabetes too. This is actually a really cool picture to maybe help you know the different treatment options. Community resources. There are many community resources. If you go on Google, you go and search a bunch of community resources. There's the biggest one I found was American Diabetes Association. It was an online website. And then I searched for stuff locally in Myrtle Beach, and that was Hands On Health, South Carolina. And on there it showed different websites, different organizations going on, different things in the community. There's the two biggest nonprofit organizations that I found was JDRF, which is a type 1 diabetes research website that you can go onto and find different stuff online for questions, anything you have. And also something else I found was Tour de Cure, which was really cool. It's a cycling fundraising event. Usually it happens all over the United States, and it's just an event where people go out and they try to raise money for people with diabetes, because yes, it can be very expensive. If you don't have insurance, it is going to be very expensive to afford those medications, those doctor's visits, everything. And some people, like type 1 juvenile diabetes, is for life. And here is my reference page. These are all the references I used. Yes, I did get all my pictures from Google. I hope you enjoy my presentation, and I look forward to hearing your comments.